Hey there. Tonight, we're floating far from Earth. Imagine yourself surrounded by stars, a slow dance of light in a dark ocean. You're weightless, calm, and approaching one of the most mysterious wonders in our solar system, Saturn. Not the god, not the Roman legend, but the real one. The sixth planet from the sun, enormous, elegant, and crowned with rings so beautiful they almost look painted on. But those rings, they're not soft, they're not gentle, and if you ever found yourself inside them, you wouldn't be gazing in awe for long. Tonight's journey takes us there, not to marvel, but to understand. Why you, a perfectly average human with a heartbeat and a backpack of dreams, wouldn't last a single day in Saturn's deadly rings. So before you get too cozy, take a moment to like the video, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It helps more than you know. And let me know in the comments what time it is for you and where you're listening from. It's always comforting to see how far our little nighttime journeys travel. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's drift together into the chill of cosmic wonder. It's easy to be fooled by Saturn's rings. They look like something out of a dream. Soft bands floating peacefully in space as if you could stretch out your hand and glide through them like fingers through mist. But dreams, especially the beautiful ones, often lie. In reality, the rings are not calm. They are violent, they are cold, and they are entirely unforgiving. The smallest pieces in the rings are grains of dust, microscopic shards of ancient collisions. The largest? Solid ice boulders the size of houses. They whip around the planet at incredible speeds, fast enough that even the tiniest shard could pierce metal like it was paper. If you were floating here, unprotected, even for a moment, you wouldn't see your end coming. One collision, one silent flash, and then just more dust added to the ring. And it gets worse. The temperature in Saturn's rings can plunge below -200 degrees Celsius. That's cold enough to shatter your breath before it leaves your lips. Your suit, if you had one, would stiffen. Your body would start shutting down. Muscles slow. Fingers freeze. Eyelids don't blink because they're sealed with frost. And then there's radiation. Saturn doesn't just trap rocks and ice. It traps energy. Intense belts of radiation wrap around the planet, trapped by its magnetic field. They're invisible, but they're lethal. You wouldn't last long here, not in a spacesuit, not in a craft, not even in a science fiction daydream. The rings aren't solid. They're scattered chaos. There's nothing to stand on, nothing to breathe, nothing to hold you but the cold. They may look like the edge of heaven, but the truth, they're the edge of nowhere. Let's pretend for a moment that you're there, not in a spaceship, not behind glass, just you floating among the rings. The silence is absolute. There's no air to carry sound, no whispers, no breathing, not even your own heartbeat. Only your thoughts. Slow, steady, suspended in the vast emptiness. You're surrounded by billions of icy fragments, each glinting like a frozen diamond in the dim sunlight. They're beautiful, hypnotic, and utterly deadly. At first it feels still, peaceful even. But then the motion starts to register. Those chunks of ice aren't floating gently. They're racing, orbiting Saturn at velocities that would tear through metal, moving faster than most bullets on Earth. You try to move, to push off one shard toward another. But there's no friction here, no gravity to guide your steps. You drift, awkwardly, aimlessly, like a leaf on a raging tide. Your body doesn't know what to do. The inner ear loses track of which way is up. Your limbs feel light. Your mind feels heavier. You're starting to realize you have no control. Your breath fogs up the visor, if you're lucky enough to be wearing one. But even the most advanced spacesuit wouldn't save you for long. The micrometeoroids, the tiniest, sharpest projectiles, are everywhere. They're not aimed, but they don't need to be. In a place like this, probability is a predator. Eventually one will hit. A puncture the size of a pinhead is all it takes. Pressure drops. Air hisses out. You wouldn't hear it, but your body would feel it. Boiling, freezing at the same time. No dramatic explosion, just the soft, silent unraveling of a human in the vacuum of space. And all around you, the rings keep spinning, unbothered, eternal. Now imagine this. Even if you had the perfect suit, the best training, the calmest heart, gravity would still betray you. See, Saturn's gravity is immense, 95 times more massive than Earth. That means everything near it, everything in orbit, is being tugged and pulled with invisible threads you can't escape. And the rings? They're caught in a constant game of balance between being flung into space and falling into the planet. A razor-thin celestial tightrope. But your body? It's not built for that. You wouldn't stand. You wouldn't float gracefully. You'd be yanked, ever so slightly, toward the planet. Pulled unevenly, twisted from one side to the other. One arm might feel heavier. Your head might feel lighter. It's called a tidal force. The same force that stretches Saturn's rings would stretch you too. Slowly, gently. Spaghettification. Yes, that's the real term. Your body, pulled like warm dough. Not violently, not at first. Just enough to make your cells forget how to hold themselves together. Your sense of direction would vanish. There's no down in space, but around Saturn, even sideways is complicated. You'd drift in curves, caught in invisible whirlpools of gravitational spin. Try to move left? You arc downward. Push off a nearby rock? You spiral unpredictably, like a marble tossed into a draining sink. There's no anchor, no stillness. Just you, becoming part of the dance, whether you want to or not. And Saturn doesn't notice. It doesn't care. The planet spins calmly, slowly, magnificently, oblivious to your tiny drama, as it always has been, as it always will be. So maybe you're thinking, all right, this all sounds terrifying, but what if we brought the right tech? A reinforced spacecraft, a heat-resistant suit, a navigation system so advanced it practically dreams. Could we survive Saturn's rings with science? Short answer? Not really. Long answer. Let's unpack that gently. First, there's no such thing as parking near Saturn's rings. You don't hover. You orbit, constantly. Which means your ship has to be perfectly aligned with the motion of the ring particles. One miscalculation, one wrong trajectory, and those bits of ice become a high-speed firing squad. Even space agencies, NASA, ESA, all the brilliant minds in the game, they don't let their probes get too cozy with the rings. The Cassini spacecraft, one of the most iconic deep space explorers, spent 13 years around Saturn, and still only dipped between the planet and the inner rings near the end of its mission. That's how careful they were. Because if your ship gets hit by even a small piece of ring debris, something the size of a pebble, it could be catastrophic. We're talking holes punched in metal, systems failing, communications cut, a billion-dollar spacecraft reduced to glitter. And let's not forget the temperature swings. Saturn is far from the sun. Daylight there is like a dying candle. That means your ship has to be insulated against cold that makes Antarctica look tropical. But wait, when you orbit into sunlight, it suddenly heats up because there's no atmosphere to buffer that energy. You're either freezing or frying, sometimes both, within minutes. Oh, and radiation. We've mentioned it, but here it comes again. Saturn's magnetic field traps charged particles. They bounce around like cosmic pinballs, capable of frying electronics, cooking sensitive instruments, and slowly breaking down your gear, like rust, but made of pure radiation. So could we build something to explore the rings? Maybe. Could we build something that could keep you alive in them? Unlikely. Saturn's rings aren't just pretty, they're merciless. You're in the rings now, somehow. Maybe in a pod, maybe clinging to hope and high tech. But what finally gets you won't roar. It won't announce itself. It will whisper. Because in Saturn's rings, the most dangerous threats are the quiet ones. Micrometeoroids, tiny grains of dust, move faster than bullets, faster than sound. They're invisible. They strike without warning. A single speck can punch through metal, tear through suits, erase systems. Not loud, not explosive, just final. Then there's the electrostatic charge. All those tiny particles, rubbing, spinning, colliding. They generate static, a lot of it, and it builds. Imagine trying to land a probe on a cloud of lightning. That's the kind of storm Saturn's rings are brewing. And if your equipment isn't grounded perfectly, it shorts, fails, sparks in silence. Next comes the particle radiation. Not the stuff from Saturn itself this time, but from the sun, pouring into the void. Out here, without Earth's magnetic blanket, radiation is everywhere. It dances along your nerves, disrupts your DNA, and hums softly through your bones. You wouldn't notice right away. But inside, systems begin to decay. Your cells falter. Your clarity dims. It's not the kind of danger that strikes. It seeps, and then isolation. Not just physical, but sensory. No sound, no wind, no ground. Your mind reaches for anchors, gravity, sky, horizon, and finds nothing. That silence, it's not peaceful anymore. It's vast. It's weighty. Even thoughts echo differently out here. No dramatic threats, no sci-fi monsters, just cold, static, dust, and the long, steady fade of the self. And so we float. One last time. Saturn shrinks behind us, no longer the looming titan, but a quiet, golden memory. Its rings, deadly, dazzling, spiral endlessly on, untouched by time, indifferent to us. You weren't meant to survive them. That's the truth. They're not for walking, or flying through, or settling near. They're for watching, for wondering, for marveling at from a safe, respectful distance. And maybe that's the point. Not every beauty is meant to be held. Some are meant to stay just out of reach. So we remember how fragile we are, how far we've come, and how much we still don't understand. Out here, you can feel the scale of the universe and your place in it. Not as a conqueror, not as a survivor, but as a witness. So breathe deeply now. Let Saturn drift further away. Let your thoughts slow. Let the weight of the day fade into the cosmic dark. And sleep. Because in this infinite, mysterious universe, even the most dangerous rings sing a lullaby. Good night, traveler. Thank you for listening, for joining me on this quiet journey among the stars and through the silent beauty of Saturn's rings.